Welcome to Oddball. I'm Amin Hassan. That right there is Izzy Gutierrez. And man, we're coming off of a great Memorial Day memory as the Oklahoma City Thunder defeat the Minnesota Timberwolves in Game 4, 128-126. Massive game from the Oklahoma City Thunder Big Three. SGA had 40 points, 9 rebounds, and 10 assists. J-Dub, 34 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds, and 3 steals. And Chet, 21 points, 7 rebounds, 3 blocks, 1 steal, and a bunch of huge clutch threes down the stretch. The 95 points scored by the three combined is the most by a trio in OKC playoff history. Izzy, how crazy is that? That a team that had Harden, Westbrook, and Durant, a team that had Westbrook, Paul George, and Carmelo Anthony. None of those surpassed the 95 points scored by SGA, J-Dub, and Chet.
Does that mean that Chet and Jalen Williams will one day win MVPs also? Because KD, Russ, and Harden all did.
Yeah, that's how it goes, right? So the one who's more likely will win it last, right? Because Harden won it next after KD, and that was kind of a surprise. And then Russ, or no, was it the other way around?
I think it was Russ first.
Russ was first. Never mind. All right.
But this big three, I've never really thought of this big three as a big three, right? Like I think of the big two, and then I think of Chet as a nice addition, a nice piece. He will give you a game. But this is the type of performance that you need from him on the regular, and you can just lump him in there and say, okay, we can expect this from you all the time. Then we have a big three.
Yeah. You know what's funny? I don't even know if I'll call it a big two. And I'm as big a Jalen Williams fan as there is outside of Oklahoma, but I have not really considered him. To me, it's SGA and then a ton of really good basketball players, right? And Jalen Williams is the best among them of the rest, but it's all kind of, they're more in the same class together than they are with Shai. Shai is something different altogether. And look, Jalen Williams, he delivered every question mark that people had about this team in general, but about Jalen Williams specifically. Oh, should he have been all NBA? Should he have been an all-star? Oh, can he do it in the playoffs? Can he do it on the road? He delivered. He answered the call. It was incredible. It was remarkable. And so I having been there at the game, I was thoroughly, there's something nice about being right. You're like, yes, it's happening right in front of you. You can't beat it. The Thunder Big Three scored or assisted on every single point OKC scored in the fourth quarter. They combined for 34 points in the fourth, and that's the most fourth quarter points by any trio of players in a conference finals game since 2002. And so now the question posed by the producers, Izzy, is who did it in 2002?
This is a hell of a question. You're talking the most fourth quarter points by any trio in a conference finals. So those conference finals where it was Nets, Nets Boston, and then the Lakers and Kings.
Yes.
Okay. Who had big trios there? Like the Lakers had a duo. You could throw in anybody and say that would be it, right?
So that's one. That's one. I have two candidates. One candidate is Shaq, Kobe, and
anybody.
Somebody.
Throw in a Rick Fox or something.
Rick Fox, not Devin George, Derek Fisher. Well, like whoever, right? The other option.
Nets, they were a high-scoring running team. It could be Jason Kidd, Kenyon Martin, and anybody. It could have been
Richard
Harry
Jefferson,
Kittles, maybe even him. But that doesn't really ring a bell.
No, not for me. Boston is another one. Walker and Pierce, and then Eric Williams as your third. But no,
Eric Williams.
I think the answer is Sacramento. I think it's Weber.
My boys.
I think it's Peja. And I think it's Mike Bibby. Show us the answer, producer Hank. It was Paul Pierce. Oh, no.
Well, we see with the other two, Paul Pierce, Kenny Anderson, and Rodney Rogers in games 3 against the Nets. Well,
wow.
You know why we don't remember that? Because they didn't win that series. The Nets won the series.
No, yeah. Well, I mean, I thought about the Kings. That's amazing. That's pretty incredible, man. Kenny Anderson. I thought about Kenny Anderson when I was trying to name the third with Antoine Walker.
Not gonna lie, it makes this feat a little bit less impressive because those are the 3 names that come with it.
Producer Hank wants to know who Rodney Rogers was. Rodney Rogers was like in today's game, he'd fit in perfectly, but back then it was an anomaly. He was like a 6'6" power forward.
He was like Draymond Green, but he didn't defend, and he was better offensively. I mean, he was built like Draymond anyway. Yeah,
he was built like, oh man, I was gonna say he was built like Corliss Williamson, but
that's another series of questions.
But yes, that is a surprising answer. So Shai is 26, Jalen Williams is 24, Chet's 23. We played this game over a decade ago, Izzy. Remember when the Thunder made the finals and we said, how many more finals? Are they going to go to like 6 or 7 or whatever? How many championships are they going to win? And then they ended up just going to that one. So they're on the precipice.
Do you remember that one? I mean, do you remember going into that series against the Heat? It felt like the Thunder were kind of favored there, right? Like the path that they took was more, no?
I think this
I thought they were favored in game 1, and then after game 2, it was like, oh no, it's a wrap. The Heat's going to win it.
This is what I'm not. I don't because I don't know betting lines and stuff like that, particularly historically. But I think what it was Heat kind of like anti-Heat sentiment was rampant. And remember, the Thunder were like, we built it from the ground up, and all our guys. And Kevin Durant could have signed a deal with a shorter out, but he's like, why would I do that? I don't want any options. And like, so there was a lot of positioning and posturing of like, these guys are the ones that did it right. And so there was a lot of pro Thunder sentiment. And the other thing was, it was like, oh, these guys are young and they'll be able to, like, kind of like how we feel about Thunder right now. They'll be able to do this forever. But we know that the NBA changes on a dime very easily. So I would say I'm not even going to answer that. I think one is enough. And they haven't even done that yet, by the way. They still have to win one more game.
I appreciate the question. I refuse to answer it. No, I do think it's a different feel though, right? Because like you looked at that team with KD, Russ, and James Harden, even though you didn't know what James Harden was going to turn out to be, you just thought that you had 3 potentially like superstars, 3 head of the snake type people where you already got your super team. This is more of a team that just fits, right? Everything fits, and your head of the snake is just dominant enough where you don't need the other guys to really give you 30 points. So when you get these games, and this is why I want to get to the Timberwolves side of this, when you get these games, it should be a blowout. Like they should absolutely be coasting here, and they barely won. And what happened with Minnesota? All right. Because you've got, Julius Randle and Anthony Edwards not being nearly aggressive enough. Right. Anthony Edwards was 1 of 2 from the field the entire first half, finished with 16 points on 13 shots. Like he had this quote. He said, I made the right play all night, so I don't really look at it like I struggled. I didn't get enough shots to say I struggled. I didn't struggle at all. I mean, I've said why he's wrong. Can you please further explain why that thinking is just wrong for him?
Yeah. And look, you don't want to encourage a player to be selfish, right? Because what he's saying is I made the right basketball play.
Right.
But at some point, in particular, when you're talking about playoff games deep in the playoffs, playoff games when you are on the brink of elimination, that way of thinking does not apply to someone of Anthony Edwards' stature. It's true for the mortals, right? If Nickeil Alexander-Walker, for instance, had said that, hey, I just tried to make the right plays, or Donte DiVincenzo, you'd be like, right, yeah, that's right. You're supposed to do that. Look, the defense is playing you this way. Move the ball, share it, and we'll get it somewhere else. But I think when you're Anthony Edwards, you're an immortal. Like that, those are the rules for the regular people.
You're the truth. You said it yourself.
Yeah, it's incumbent upon you to like break whatever the defense is trying to do to you. And that means being aggressive. That means getting up more shots. That means getting to the free throw line a whole lot more, putting pressure on the defense. They're playing a certain defense. As an immortal, your job is to get them out of that defense, not to just say, well, that's their defense. And because again, you know, what's the old saying? Great offense always beats great defense, right?
Yes.
And now, so he's a great offensive player. And I felt like it kind of tapped out very easily at the first sign of resistance. It almost felt like
that's what gets me, right? So I was at the game too, the Panthers Hurricanes game. So I was kind of watching this game on my phone, and then I just sort of rewatched it a little bit this morning. But from your opinion, was this because of the way the Thunder played him, or was it him lacking aggressiveness?
I think it starts with the Thunder were playing a very specific defense. It wasn't that they were trapping so much as every time he caught it, he saw wave upon wave upon wave of white jersey behind the guy that's guarding him. And so, I think he took the path of least resistance. Attack, here comes the help, I'm getting it out. Now, another part of this is there's 3 prongs to this. One is, I don't think he was aggressive enough. 2 was, his teammates, I don't think, did enough to recognize, hey, we got to get him back the ball. He's off the ball. Get him back into it. It's like once the ball left his hands, all right, now, thanks, Ant. We've got it from here.
That reminds me, and that drives me absolutely insane because, not only did you just watch it and say, well, now you're just standing there. That can't possibly be good for your team. But there's so much time left on the shot clock, right? And it reminds me of, this was back in 2015, Memphis versus the Warriors, and they go, Warriors are down 2-1. And that's basically when Steph and the Warriors figured out this relocation thing where it was like, okay, because Steph was really frustrated early on. He's like, man, at the beginning of actions, they're just completely taking me out of this. When Tony Allen was still in the game, he was such a great defender. And then they're just like, oh, okay, well, keep running stuff, keep relocating yourself. Eventually you'll be wide, you'll be open. The defense is going to make a mistake over the course of those 24 seconds. You got to use the entire shot clock. And that opened up a whole nother level for him and for that team. Anthony Edwards needs to recognize that. You mentioned the path of least resistance. Like when you see wave after wave of player, you're thinking to yourself, yeah, I don't want to go through all that. And then you just give it up. No, you got to go through all that.
Yeah. Or no, and I'm all right with him getting off the ball. Just go get it back. Right? Because by the natural inclination of the defense is once the ball has left the main threat's hands, like, oh, thank God. Our work here is done. Right. So it's like, just get it right back to him, maybe in the same spot, maybe somewhere else on the floor. But his teammates really didn't do much of a job of trying to reintegrate him back into the possession. And then the third part of this is it's a little bit on Chris Finch too. Especially like there was long stretches where they just ran basic high pick and roll, Rudy screen, and come off the pick and roll, everyone else spaced out. And I feel like that was just a little too simplistic of an offense to run, especially given that your best player was not having the level of aggression that we thought he should be having.
Yeah. And then there's his teammate, Julius Randle. Like, again, wasn't glued to the game, but how do you do that? I mean, we were a couple of shows away from talking about how maybe Minnesota won the cat trade. And no, not when Julius is doing that. So I don't really know if you're Anthony Edwards, like how you see your wingman, your number 2 guy, not giving you anything, and you're still too quickly getting off the ball, not getting it back. Like it's a bad combination. You look at the way those extra players, those supplemental guys did. That's a game you got to win if you're Ant and Julius Randle.
Yeah, well, Julius Randle, they tortured him. They smothered him defensively. He had 5 turnovers. He really struggled. There was a play in particular I remember. It was on the left wing, and his body was kind of facing back up court. So the basket's over here, and there's a pass that he's got to make to the top of the key. And instead of just passing it that way, he spins backward like almost like a fadeaway and throws it. And I'm sitting next to Sam Amick from The Athletic, and I said, you know why he did that, right? Because he can't pass with his right hand. Because the guy's right here, obviously can't pass with his left hand, defender's right here. He can't throw this pass. So his solution is to literally spin back this way and then throw it to get to his left hand as he's facing baseline and then throw it back across his body. And it was one of those things. And then defensively, so many, and I'm not going to put that on Randle. They had a lot in the fourth quarter as a team. But Randle in particular had some really bad ones where it's just like, what are you doing? You're zoning out. And so,
he barely played in the fourth quarter too. He got taken out with about 8 minutes left.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where this is what I'm talking about when I say if it's a close game, it's going to be Oklahoma City. I just don't think the Wolves are an execution team. Not yet, at least. I don't think they play with the poise and the understanding. And poise meaning like, hey, we have to get every one of these defensive rotations right. Hey, we can't sag off of Jalen Williams when he's hit a bunch of threes in a row. Hey, we've got to be able to defend with integrity against Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. We know what he's trying to do. You've got to be disciplined. A lot of it is a lack of discipline while he's getting these fouls. But then the other part of it is the wherewithal offensively to get the ball back to Ant, as we talked about.
Yeah.
And here's another one, to when you know Oklahoma City is going to foul because they're up 3, there's ways to handle that as well, Izzy.
Yeah. Well, I would say it's for the first part that you mentioned with Ant getting the ball back. They need a point guard, right? Like Mike Conley's sort of a token starter, didn't even play half the game. He would be the guy that could organize or reorganize mid-possession. Doesn't feel like everybody else wants to do that. It feels like Donte or Julius or whomever, they get the ball, they just want to go. They think, the Ant's not doing it this time. Let me go get it. I don't like that way of thinking. It's funny that we're talking about OKC being an execution team and we're criticizing Anthony Edwards for executing, but he's got to do more than that.
But that's not, let's just real quick. That's not execution, right? If it's just, I got to give up the ball because the defense, that's not execution. Is our strategy to take them out of what they're trying to do. They're trying to neutralize the best offensive player on Minnesota. The strategy can't be like, okay, well, we're going to let our best player get neutralized. No, it's like, no, how do we get him going?
Right. So given that we were both at our respective games of major importance, we weren't really online as much and maybe as our producers were, they were very, very angry about the way this game ended, with Minnesota down 3 and OKC fouling all the time. Let's dig into this a little bit. There's a couple of comments online we can talk about. One from Nate Duncan. He said it should be an one shot and the ball if you foul outside the 3-point line up 3 with the shot clock off. This turned an amazing game into a free throw contest late. It robbed us of a great finish. I am not on board with this. I do not think the league needs to change this. I think there is enough involved in terms of strategy. There's enough involved in terms of timing. There's enough involved in terms of just making and missing free throws as well that it's not ruining the game. But then again, I mean, there's a lot of complaints about the way this game ended. Do you think this is something that should be addressed? I feel like people are like, they're just on this thing where Oklahoma City's too young. Oklahoma City's they're not ready yet. And as Oklahoma City is starting to, it looks more and more like, oh yeah, they're going to win this whole thing. People are searching, it's this foul merchant thing. Look, they're fouling up 3. And I remember, I'm old enough to remember early in the playoffs where y'all wanted to bury them for fouling up 3. But like, my thing is this, there's a strategy against foul up 3, right? Like, as the team that's down 3, there's a way you counteract it. Number 1, obviously, is don't burn all your timeouts. That's for sure. But number 2 is you've got to get your guys to catch facing the basket, to catch in a position to shoot immediately. You know it's coming. And Minnesota didn't seem to know that. They were throwing inbounds passes to the sideline and the guy's got his back to the basket. It's like, there's no way Naz Reid or Anthony Edwards or any of these guys. They were hoping that the foul wouldn't happen fast enough and that he can just throw it to Donte or whomever he was setting the screen for. That's not how you do this. And so again, we're mad that Oklahoma City executed their strategy. Again, a strategy that people on this playoffs. They try to on it. Now we're coming back and we're saying, because they got it right. No. Even Mark Dagnall make a little joke about it in his post game remarks. So to me, it's one of those things where no, Minnesota has to be better, and that portion of it is a small part of a bunch of other things that they got wrong throughout the night. And again, they're a great team, folks. They're in the Western Conference Finals for the second time in a row. And Anthony Edwards is an MVP caliber player. But when you see a score of 128 to 126, those little things matter. They seem insignificant in the moment. They matter, Izzy. In the same way that I remember when I worked for the Suns and we would play the Spurs and the Spurs would beat us, and we knew they're not that much better than us. Hell, there's a couple of them times where we were the better team. But guess what? They did everything right in a game of call it 100 possessions, however many possessions you want to say, 95 possessions, right? They did it right 92 out of 95 possessions, and we did it right maybe 89 out of 95 possessions. And those 3 possessions there, that's the difference. there are so many things that happened before Minnesota was down 3 in the final 30 seconds that could have made it a 2-point game or a 1-point game instead of a 3-point game. Those things robbed us of a great finish. The rules didn't rob us of a great finish. The rules are the rules. And if you get a great finish by altering the rules, it's just contrived. It's not real. So let's just not really take this whole thing and we need more rules, more referees stopping the game. Like, just, this is fine. Outside of like the last 30 seconds of a game lasting a little bit longer than it should, I don't think it ruins a game.
And again, like, be better. This isn't an issue if you aren't falling short as the team on the losing end.
Before we get out of here, just to give them the T-Wolves some hope, they led this game, even though they lost the game, in rebounds, assists, points off turnovers, fast break points, points in the paint, second chance points, free throw attempts, makes, field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, free throw percentage, and they lost. My guess, you do that again, they're going to win at least, a few of those games.
You know why they lost? Because they didn't lead the game in points.
Damn, that one stat. It's time for the Iciest Play of the Week, brought to you by Jägermeister. Serve it cold or don't serve it at all. Jägermeister, damn, that's cold. For more, visit Jägermeister.com. Drink responsibly. This week's Iciest Play is courtesy of Karl Anthony Towns. He had this dish to DeLon Wright, which is part of his magical fourth quarter, but he just doesn't do it in a normal way. He does it in a cat way. Well, first of all, he's got those cat eyes in that first frame identifying the target. Oh, there he is. And then the face completely changes because he's got to put as much effort into this as possible. And then comes the flare at the end, if you will, where I'm only surprised it didn't come with a full spin at the end.
Yeah, so I think I would go, number one is definitely, he's open. Number two, let me get it there. Number three is, hold on, let me look nonchalant so I don't. So it's not to tip anyone off. The perfect crime. And then number four is, that's right, I did it. Almost like a cat burglar leaving his calling card on the crime scene.
That's exactly right. And it's perfect for him as the cat burglar. Yeah. There was some news that, let's rephrase that. There was some information that was shared while we were doing the show, and it came from the Pat McAfee show, and this was per Shams, and it was LeBron is likely to opt in to his $52.6 million player option. Now, let's just use this as a teaching moment, if you will. If you are a smart NBA fan, first of all, you're listening to this show, so thank you. Also, you can discern between what is news and what is something that somebody just said. So I'll allow Amin to describe what exactly happened on the Pat McAfee show today.
So if you're subscribed to alerts, you probably got an alert from the ESPN app saying Shams on McAfee show, LeBron likely to opt in. But there's a huge difference between Shams reporting something and Shams answering a question, right? If Shams had come out and said, guys, I've just got some sources that have confirmed to me LeBron is likely to opt into his player option. That's very different from McAfee asking him, hey, what do you think LeBron's going to do this summer? And Shams saying, I think he's probably going to opt into his option. There's a nuance there in the same way that I might say, hey, Izzy, what is Anthony going to have for lunch? Versus, Izzy, I hear you have some news for us about Anthony's lunch. Those are two very different things that are kind of given the same answer, but in a different route. And one of them is reporting, and one of them is just an educated guess, right?
But because it comes out of the mouth of Shams, the man, when it comes to news, somebody else will say it. You put it out on an alert, and all of a sudden it's, oh, wow, that's a sham bomb or whatever that was. And it's not. It's absolutely not.
It's not. It's just him answering a question that was asked to him based on his background knowledge. And by the way, LeBron's option, the opt-in date isn't until June 29th. That's a full month away. There is absolutely zero incentive for LeBron to make any decision on that right now. Oh, and by the way, if he does opt in, that doesn't mean he wants to stay, because sometimes opting in is so that you can get traded a lot easier, like Chris Paul going from the Clippers to the Rockets.
Right. Well, So not news. What was news is I was at the stupid Panthers game yesterday, and the Carolina Hurricanes decided to win a game in the conference finals for the first time in 16 tries. Panthers couldn't even score a goal when I was in the house. What did I do to them? Why do they hate me so much?
It's all your fault. You sat there with your dumb jersey on.